Fix old cameras, up-close and detailed repair videos of classic camera equipment. Your successful completion of the demonstrated repair ultimately depends on the quality of your tools, the condition of your camera, and most importantly, your repair ability.
A Nikon Nikkormat FT N top cover with prism removal, and the counter is not resetting when the door is opened. Begin by removing the advanced lever cover plate. However, in this particular case, with this particular camera, this does not look to be the original pin face. A spanner will be needed to remove this one. Underneath the advanced lever decorator plate is the actual advanced lever retainer. This too is also a spanner screw, and a spanner tool will be needed to remove it. This screw is often quite tight. Removal is in a clockwise direction? No, counterclockwise. With the advanced lever retainer screw removed, the advanced lever and the advanced lever spring plate can be lifted free. Using a 2.5mm JIS crosspoint screwdriver, remove the advanced lever side top cover screw. Remove the two nameplate screws. Oops, there it went. In case you missed the following bushing, here it is in slow motion. So, be aware of the two brass nameplate spacer bushings that will fall out when the nameplate is removed. And as also can be seen, this beat up old camera has a missing meter link plate screw. We'll take the time to replace that now. Salvage through miscellaneous screws until we find one that fits. Okay, moving on. The rewind knob will need to be removed by locking the rewind fork and spinning the knob in a counterclockwise direction. Don't forget spring plate and washer. Typically, the rewind retainer nut would need a spanner wrench to be removed, but this one was so loose it just came off with thumb pressure. That is all there is holding the top cover on. Be aware of the sync socket wires as you lift the top cover free. Wow, this camera is dusty. But the counter is going to be an easy fix. It looks like the pointer plate is not clearing the counter dial. Just a little tweak and it's working like it should. Again, the promised prism removal, we need to move the meter circuit out of the way. It is held in place by one slotted screw. It can be lifted back out of the way with the wires still attached. Be careful not to put undue pressure against the wire connections. For now, just loosen the slotted screws holding the prism retainer clips. Man, crosspoint screws surely would have been appreciated here. Next, the tension on the prism retaining cap can be relieved by lifting the cap against the spring tension up over the crown of the prism. Slip the prism retaining clips from beneath the head of the screws. If the screws can be left in place, it is easier to reassemble. Because the springs are kind of tricky to reattach into the position, if you can leave the prism cap in the connected condition, then it'll be easier to reinstall. Now, by tipping and lifting the front of the prism up, you'll be able to remove the prism from its seat. Remove viewfinder dust with a gentle stream of air from a modified safety nozzle on a canned air dispenser or from filtered compressed air. See the FOC video on modifying a can of dust off. With the viewfinder satisfactorily free of dust, it is time now to try to reseat the prism underneath the spring tension of the prism retainer plate. It can be troublesome, and if you can complete the task without removing the springs, that would be great. But removing the springs will probably be necessary. If needed, another shot of dust off. Now the prism will seat easily. Don't forget the prism's protective cover. The troublesome task at hand now is to reattach the springs to the Prism retainer plate. If you just laid the retainer plate aside with one spring attached, swing it around and put it into position. Once the retainer is in position, you just have to work with the spring until you can get it attached to both ends. Okay, here the spring is not quite gripped properly with the tweezers. We'll reset and try again. First attempt, fail. Second attempt. Almost there. Fail. Third attempt. Fail. Fourth attempt. The spring hook is not aimed in the right direction. Try again. Work it up in there. Success. No, fail. Again. Success. Finally. In our effort to attach the spring to the Prism retainer, a spring was inadvertently disconnected from the meter link plate. With the meter link spring still flagging free in the following footage, it will be demonstrated why cross-point screws are superior to slotted screws during the reassembly process. Slotted screws are troublesome to center and balance over the hole and hold whatever it is retaining in place. Grr, dang slotted screws. Anyway, proceed with the reassembly. By attaching the meter circuit with the slotted screw, persistence and patience will pay off and the screw will eventually seat itself. Or if you get too frustrated and you have extra cross-point screws that fit the right size, swap them out. But eventually you will get it seated and you can proceed to the clips on the Prism. First one retainer clip, then the other. But it does look like the slotted screw that was left in place for the retainer clip is going to have to be completely removed in order to get the retainer clip in the proper position. With the screw removed, the clip can be seated in the proper position. Have fun getting the clip and the screw all in the place where they need to be and tightened. We'll skip through that. Just kidding. If the manufacturer wanted them there, we probably should put them there. We'll just keep with it until we get them seated. Well, one down, one to go. And the tail end of the struggle of the final Prism retainer clip, it is in as it should be. The top cover can now be reinstalled. Before seating the top cover, make sure that the release button cable release plunger is in place and that the sync wires are properly routed so they won't be pinched or cut when the top cover is seated. With the top cover properly in place, it is obviously a simple procedure of reverse assembly of the remaining top cover parts. Oh, and one more thing. Make sure that the meter on-off cam is in the proper position underneath the advanced lever wind cam.
Thank you for watching. Inspired? Check back for new video postings.